Good morning. Inter-Korean high-level talks are set to be held later this month or early November as the North Korean leader sends a message of warm regards. Protesters calling for democracy in Hong Kong rally overnight despite the government's warning to clear out by Monday morning. A move towards less revealing gowns on the red carpet. Well, has it worked? Well, who was the queen of the night at this year's Busan International Film Festival? And couple shirts, couple shoes, couple accessories, couple this and that. In Korea, matching is a norm between two lovers. Get in on the culture on Korea Today, Monday, October 6th, 2014.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And a good Monday morning. Thank you for joining us on Korea Today. I'm Kim Young alongside Kim Min-jung and Jin Ju. And wow, we're there. A lot of festivals. It was a festive weekend, I have to say.
That's
3-day
right.
weekend, in fact.
And one of the highlights, I think, was the Seoul International Fireworks Festival. Some 110,000 fireworks decorated the skies, and some 800,000 people crammed the Yeouido district. The traffic there was hellish.
You can hear the fireworks display from my house, which is approximately 12 kilometers away from that area.
And in this year's event, 4 countries, Korea, China, the UK, and Italy took part in this event. And as you mentioned, hundreds and thousands of fireworks were shot up into the sky, creating a beautiful scene for everyone to enjoy.
Breathtaking, really.
It was over an hour long. It has to cost a ton of money just to put those on.
That's right. Well, it was a busy weekend for festival goers, but it was also a busy weekend for high-ranking government officials from the two Koreas, following a surprise visit by a senior North Korean delegation led by Mr. Hwang Byung-seo, believed to be second in command in the communist state. South Korean officials are working on follow-up measures on the inter-Korean high-level talks set to be held in late October or early November. Appearing on a radio show on Sunday, Unification Minister Ryu Gil-jae said North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has sent, quote, warm regards to President Park Geun-hye. The Unification Minister, however, cautioned against too much optimism, saying consistency is key in dealing with the North. Over the weekend, the U.S. State Department issued a statement saying it supports improving inter-Korean ties, though some analysts point out it's important not to lose focus on denuclearizing North Korea. Pyongyang also issued a commentary saying the ball is now in Seoul's court.
And recent data shows that in the past 3 months, the value of the Japanese yen to the dollar has depreciated more than twice to the Korean won against the dollar. According to the Korea Center for International Finance, on the dollar index, a gauge of the greenback's value against the 6 major currencies, the U.S. dollar was up by 7.7%, while the Japanese yen rose by 8.2%, with the Korean won rising by 4.2 percentage points in the third quarter of 2014. The value of the yen against the dollar versus the Korean won to the dollar has in fact dropped by double, resulting in loss of competitiveness for Korean exports and slowed progress for Korea's stock exchange. Market watchers say this, combined with other factors such as slow recovery in the country's economy and volatile foreign exchange rates, has Korea's central bank considering another cut for the country's key interest rate in October.
So we had a very rare and unexpected visit by 3 top North Korean officials over the weekend, and it has stirred up a great deal of speculation and interpretation surrounding Pyongyang's true intentions behind the move. For an expert's take on this, we have Professor Brian Myers from Dongsa University joining us on the phone this morning. Thank you for joining us, Professor.
Thank you.
So what could have prompted North Korea to make this surprise visit to the South? And it was not just one official, but 3 high-profile figures who came down to the South for the closing ceremony of the Asian Games. What significance does it have?
Well, the North Korean regime is probably worried about the rumors that are circulating around South Korea and the whole world. In other words, the rumors that Kim Jong-un is very ill and may not even be running the country anymore. And that kind of rumor, whether it's true or not, is a big security risk to a country like North Korea. So I would agree with the North Korean defectors who have said that by sending his top 3 officials to the south, Kim Jong-un wanted to signal that he's in full control. But I think it might have backfired in the sense that it's really sent the opposite message, because for one thing, it's only been a few weeks since President Park criticized North Korea at the UN. And for another, sending his 3 highest officials to South Korea for a relatively undistinguished occasion like the Asian Games really sort of upgrades the South's importance and makes the North look a bit smaller. So I'm taking this as an indication that the regime really is in difficulties of some sort.
And during their stay here, the two Koreas decided to hold high-level talks sometime later this month or early next month. What kind of issues will top their agenda?
Well, even the Unification Ministry doesn't seem to be very sure about that. Yu Gil-jae said there could be conversations on a whole range of topics. Needless to say, if there is a serious intention for a summit on both sides, and that has been indicated by Hwang Pyeong-seo, the vice chairman of the National Defense Council, that topic would dominate because summits require an awful lot of logistics and preparation. But as you know, President Park's trust politique is centered on the whole idea of one step at a time. I don't believe the South Koreans are going to be interested in discussing any grandiose plans until the North Koreans have shown through small steps that they're sincere. One thing is certain, the North is going to be angling for some kind of aid and economic support.
And Professor Myers, the South Korean government is saying that the North Korean officials' visit to the South is a small but meaningful step forward in inter-Korean relations. Could this possibly serve as a turning point in improving inter-Korean ties?
Well, I don't really think so, because I don't believe that it's in the North's interests for there ever to be a turning point. I do think it's important, though, for President Park to respond in a friendly manner, because if she does that, she will at least make it harder for Pyongyang to claim that she is an obstacle to better relations. If she does agree to a summit, I certainly hope she doesn't agree to go to Pyongyang, but instead goes to the DMZ or to a country outside the peninsula. In any case, I don't think this should be an occasion for too much optimism, because too many times already the North has misled South Korea into expecting some improvement of relations, only to, surprise the world with a provocation of some sort.
Well, thank you, Professor Myers, for your insight this morning.
Sure thing.
That was Professor Brian Myers from Dongsa University on the high-profile visit by top North Korean officials to South Korea.
Good Monday morning. It's time to run through the front pages of your newspapers. Now, the big story on all the papers this morning, of course, is what you just heard a moment ago, as well as earlier on in the program's headlines. Let's take a look at how some of the local newspapers are carrying this news. First, we'll take a look at Gyeongyang Shinmun for the top story. And the title says, North Korea's second in command comes in military uniform, open to dialogue, reiterates regime stability. So as you heard, high-level officials from the two Koreas met on Saturday. And if we take a look at this image, the two sides are together here at the closing ceremony of the Incheon Asian Games. On the left is the South Korean National Security Director Kim Kwon-Jin, and on the right is Hwang Pyeong-seo, Director of the North Korean military's General Political Bureau, who is believed to be the second most powerful man after leader Kim Jong-un. And in the meantime, over on 중앙일보, the top story is once again on the same story, but from another angle. This is called President Park had planned to meet with Hwang Pyeong-seo prior to letter from Kim Jong-un. Now, at the meeting, the North Korean delegation delivered warm greetings to President Park Geun-hye, but no other specific message from the North Korean leader had been relayed to the president. Because the delegation included political heavyweights, analysts had believed they would be carrying a special letter from Kim to President Park. Now, some politicians here in the South were speculating that the North Korean delegation's visit to the presidential office had not taken place because there was no letter from Kim Jong-un. However, a Unification Ministry official said that President Park was willing to meet with the North delegation in the first place, even before knowledge of the letter. And now switching gears to some sports-related news here on 동아일보. At the bottom, since we were mentioning the Incheon Asian Games. Now, the header says no golds in track and field or swimming, need for improvement in the basics. And if we take a look at the sub-headlines, you all know by now the Asian Games over in Incheon came to a close on Saturday. South Korea came in second place with 79 golds. Meanwhile, North Korea did a great job as well, getting into the top 10 for the first time in 12 years with 11 golds, helping them place at 7th. Now, the paper takes note of the sporting events that South Korea unusually showed success in, such as both of the men's and women's basketball. However, when it comes to track and field or swimming, which are some of the events that the country was expected to shine in, no gold medals were earned. So the Daily says the need for cultivation in such fields has been revealed through the games. And finally, let's wrap with some business news on the Mail Business newspaper for the side story on Samsung Group. And this is called Samsung Group to scrap photovoltaic solar power business. It does look like Samsung is going to remove the production of photovoltaic solar power from its 5 new growth engine sectors and instead add the mobile solution sector. Now, this in an effort to further develop building the synergy of hardware and software. Now, Samsung Group is reviewing this rearrangement of their portfolio in light of a new growth potential for each sector, as well as a changing business environment. And that was a look at your newspaper headlines for this Monday. Now following are the stock numbers from Friday.
The beautiful fall weather continues here in Korea, nice and crisp and beautiful skies and just absolutely gorgeous.
I don't think you could have asked for anything more. I mean, that was the prime of what you could ask for in autumn weather with the deep blue skies. And that shade of blue, that indigo shade is so different, especially during autumn, right? And are we going to get more of that this morning and this afternoon? For a check on your weather, we'll go to Chun Song-cho, who joins us from Yangjae-cheon.
Good morning to you, Song-cho.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. I'm reporting live from Yangjae-cheon stream. Hope you all had a good weekend with beautiful weather conditions. We begin this week with a chilly morning at 13 degrees Celsius here in Seoul under mostly clear skies. However, over in Gangwon-do province, they'll see about 5 millimeters of drizzle sometime in the afternoon. The eastern and the southern coastal regions are facing strong gusty winds of over 20 meters per second, where they're indirectly affected by Typhoon Phanphone. High waves may reach up to 6 meters, so people near the coastline should exercise caution. The typhoon is expected to arrive near Tokyo this morning. Now moving over to temperatures, we have a massive cold air in the upper atmosphere, so the afternoon will feel quite cool for all of us all across the country. With that, let's take a closer look at the readings. Midday highs won't even reach the mid-20s today. Seoul is at 21 and Gwangju is the warmest at 23, all hovering in the low 20s. Gangneung is the coldest at 18 degrees Celsius, especially if you're in the mountainous areas of Gangwon-do province. You might wake up to some patchy frost. That's all for me with the weather forecast. Back to you, Minjang.
And time now to get you caught up on some of the global headlines we're following at this hour with our Eunice Kim standing by for us at the News Center. Good morning to you.
And good morning to you, Minjung.
Now, following the weekend-long demonstrations, the Hong Kong government imposed a deadline by Monday morning, that's today, to clear out the government district. But it looks like some are choosing to stay put.
Indeed, the sun is rising on Hong Kong about now as they are an hour behind Seoul time, and it is unclear what the day holds now more than a week after this massive sit-in was launched, paralyzing Asia's financial hub. And while the crowds appear noticeably thinner than those of last week, thousands of young people remained and rallied overnight, calling for democracy in Hong Kong. Many demonstrators withdrew from the Mong Kok district, saying they would join the main protest site in the Admiralty district where those government buildings are located. Hong Kong's embattled chief executive C.Y. Leung had said public offices and schools will reopen on this Monday, even if it requires police force. This as protesters and government officials are in dialogue to discuss the format of future talks. Also over the weekend, there had been violent clashes between pro-democracy demonstrators and people opposing the protests. Police said that they arrested 19 people on Saturday, adding that 8 of them had criminal backgrounds.
Hard to believe those are scenes from the Shopper's Paradise, Hong Kong, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's get a check on the Ebola situation in the U.S. America's first Ebola patient has slipped back into a critical condition. What more can you tell us?
Right. The director of the CDC, Tom Frieden, said Thomas Eric Duncan was fighting for his life as his condition worsened back to critical condition on Saturday local time, despite some initial improvement. He said experimental drugs were not being used in Duncan's treatment at Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital in Dallas, as it could worsen his condition. Understandably, there has been an upsurge of concern in the country as authorities try to track people who came into contact with Duncan while he fell ill stateside. Frieden said his agency received well over 100 inquiries on suspicious cases in recent months, and while there had been many false alarms, he said they were watching about 50 people for a period of 21 days, which is Ebola's maximum incubation period. America's top federal health official also said hospital staff were observing a homeless man who had come into contact with Duncan. He is being described as a low-risk individual and is at a Dallas area hospital for evaluation. Frieden emphasized that Duncan remains the only person diagnosed with Ebola in the United States so far.
We'll keep our eyes peeled for any further development on that story. Thank you, Eunice.
You bet.
Coming up later on Korea Today, we'll shift gears and find out what's on the horizon. A Horizon Festival in the Korean city of Gimje in Jeollabuk-do province. Gimje is known as the region where the sky meets the ground and fun meets festival goers. More than dozens of programs brought throngs of tourists. We'll bring you the details later in the show.
Korea does have many cultural treasures to show the world, and among the many treasures, there's one that never fails to impress, and that is porcelain. And joining us is Im Yoon-hee for what I believe is the first time that we're actually going to be focusing on porcelain of Korea.
Right, so specifically we're going to be talking about the blue and white porcelain of Korea, so something very prized. So the National Museum of Korea has recently opened an exhibition all about this beautiful blue and white porcelain of Korea, and this exhibition contains some of the most important, some of the most prized treasures in the area, along with some national treasures as well, so take a look.
A beautiful blue dragon, sprawled across the body of a delicate white porcelain jar. During the Joseon Dynasty, porcelain work saw many transformations, including the use of cobalt blue glaze laid against the pure white, resulting in these blue and white porcelain works, also known as Cheonghwa porcelain.
This exhibition features Joseon Dynasty celadon and porcelain, highlighting its value to Korea's history. Now more can discover the beauty of Korean Cheonghwa porcelain.
It's a centuries-old technique that was seen across the Asian continent, but Korea developed a style of its own. One of the most valuable works on display is a Cheonghwa porcelain lidded jar with a plum and bamboo design. The national treasure shows the Korean artist's unique use of the pure empty space, creating more simplistic masterpiece right on the surface of the jar. But what makes these works so valuable is that the cobalt blue had to be imported from Islamic countries, so access to the craft was extremely rare. Only the country's best craftsmen were given the opportunity to use the blue coloring. making it all the more popular with the royalty and the wealthy.
During the mid to late 18th century, Cheonghwa porcelain was enjoyed by the aristocrat class, characterized by the simplistic paintings of the four gracious plants, landscapes, animals, and patterns.
The era of elegant Cheonghwa porcelain was short-lived, as Korea endured the Japanese invasion. But each graceful brushstroke, preserved on these porcelain jars, is a priceless piece of Korea's history.
So the blue and white, or white and blue porcelain, other countries were creating masterpieces at the time as well, but something that sets Cheonghwa porcelain apart from the rest. Can you tell us about that?
A little bit more about this. So, as I said in the report, the blue pigmentation had to be imported from the Islamic countries during the 18th century. So it shows that this artwork was used before then. In fact, it dates all the way back to the 14th century in China. But as it made its way around the world, Korea really developed a very distinctive style, very unique, very beautiful style that is now very treasured. And that's really where artists use the white, not as a canvas, but more as a medium.
So how many of the works are actually being presented?
So they're showing 500 works, and 10 of them are actually national treasures.
National treasures. So we're talking about things that you can't normally see. I mean, they're very, not rare, but priceless to say the least. Now, that is a large collection of rarities.
It really is. It really is a big collection for this kind of work. And so they had to actually bring in some of these items from abroad. And so they brought items from the Idemitsu Museum in Tokyo, along with other museums around the world, including some museums from Korea as well. And so a very collaborative effort to put this exhibition together.
Okay, so to people that may not be familiar with Cheonghwa porcelain, or just porcelain in general, they might know the value of it. But I do understand that Cheonghwa porcelain is valued in other countries. There are many countries and many people and enthusiasts, collectors that are really looking for these pieces.
Exactly, and this exhibition will give you a thorough look at the Korean portion of this porcelain.
All right, sounds great. Thank you very much for that, Uni.
You're very welcome.
Stay with us on Korea Today. We are going to be looking at couple culture. That's hashtag couple culture. And just what is it in Korea? Couple shoes, couple bags, couple wrists, couple jewelry on your wrist, and even anything that you can think of. T-shirts are our favorite there. That's one of our couple culture, and we'll be learning more about that on our Curious in Korea segment.
What is a couple wrists? Right? That was odd. Now, trending online is who wore what at the opening ceremony of the ongoing 19th Busan International Film Festival.
Right, there's always a best dresser and a worst dresser for these events. And to tell us who was the most fashionable star in Busan, we're joined by Sami Surang in the studio. Good morning, Surang.
Looking gorgeous herself. Good morning.
Now, there was a general trend this year toward less revealing clothes, so we saw a lot more full-length, elegant gowns with higher necklines than usual. Now, on one of the main web portals in Korea, Daum, there was an online poll for the best dressed of the evening, and more than 5,000 people participated in the poll. Actresses Clara, Cho Yo-jung, and Lee Han-hee tied at third, and was voted with 7% each, but Kim Hee came in at second with 13% of votes. But it was Tang Wei who really wowed the crowd that night and got 38% of the votes. Most of the replies were about Tang Wei as well, along the lines of Tang Wei's a goddess, Tang Wei's the best, and Tang Wei's beauty is second to none.
Well, all the other ladies, I think they're in their 20s and 30s, so they wear a sweatshirt and they look gorgeous.
Gorgeous anyway.
Right, Kim Hee really looks stunning. I mean, and considering she's in her 50s?
Well, she's nearing 50s.
Nearing 50s.
Well, actually, during one of the interviews at the festival, she was asked, how she maintains her youthful image. And she said that she really focuses on a good skincare routine.
Right.
So she relies on, good face masks and moisturizers to get that trademark glow. So maybe some tips for us as well. Now, people are also paying attention to Kim Ki-deok's $9,500 prize. Now, during one of the interviews for his latest film, One on One, the director, he said that if anyone writes a review correctly identifying which real-life event the movie is based on, he will award that person approximately $9,500 in prize money.
Wow, that's quite a lot of money.
It is.
I'll have to start my study on that.
Right. He actually said that you didn't have to be a professional film critic to be eligible. So then maybe you can have a go.
Yeah, should.
Interesting. $10 million or 10 million won.
Yeah, just remember that if you win, I was the one that told you, so 50-50.
Okay, all right. We'll think about that.
And lastly, one of the most talked about films at the festival was director Kwon-Taek's Makeup. Now, even before the festival, there was a lot of build-up for this movie because it was the famous director's 102nd film, and it had also been invited to several international film festivals this year, including Venice, Toronto, and Vancouver film festivals. Now, the story, it's about a man falling in love with a younger woman while his sick wife is battling from cancer and nears her death. Actor An Song-gi plays a husband, Kim Ho-jung the dying wife, and Kim Yuri the young woman.
And I heard that Kim Ho-jung was praised for her great portrayal of the sick wife in that movie.
Yeah, and it was actually revealed during the press conference at the festival that she herself had suffered from cancer. So she said that, on the one hand, it was easy to portray this role, this character, because she could draw on her own experiences. But she did also say that she almost didn't take this role because it was so painful to have to, relive those painful times.
And I heard that even the actors and the actresses that were in the movie with her didn't know that she had battled cancer herself.
During the press conference, when it was revealed that she had suffered from cancer herself, a lot of the co-stars were crying as well.
I see. Well, interesting. Thank you, Misorang, for that.
You're welcome.
Well, that was our Misorang with some of the keywords trending online. Now, there were a lot of festivals, especially fall festivals, over the weekend, as we mentioned at the top of the hour going on. It was a busy weekend for sure.
Right, and one we went to check out is called the Gimje Horizon Festival, which ended yesterday on Sunday. Now, the 5-day event was held against the backdrop of Gimje, known as the country's largest plain.
That's right. This is where visitors had a chance to see the past and present in the agricultural industry, so let's check it out.
Last Wednesday, Gimje Horizon Festival kicked off with a large crowd of tourists in attendance. For the past 2 years, the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism designated it as a major festival of Korea. And this year, festival planners had also put a great deal of effort into preparations. The opening night of the festival, Gimje's night sky was filled with floating lanterns. Lanterns carrying the hopes and wishes of visitors.
I wished for all my family members to be healthy. Normally, I can't spend much time with my children, but it's wonderful to spend time with them and experience things together.
During the 5-day festival, various activities were offered for visitors to experience Korea's traditional farming culture. Folk games were also featured using dried straw made from rice stalks. The festival offered 70 different activities related to Korea's farming culture and traditional games. This included a museum event where visitors learned about harvesting and threshing rice, making rice cakes, and building thatched houses. The most popular activity among all age groups was cooking rice in an iron pot. Rice is cooked over a fire in a fireplace, which was also the source of heat for the house. It was a nostalgic experience for the adults while educational for children.
It brings back old memories. It helped my children understand how rice was cooked in the past.
Cooking rice in an iron pot gives it a unique flavor. I can taste each grain of rice. When I was little, I used to see and eat cauldron-cooked rice on major national holidays. It's very nostalgic.
The festival also provided the perfect opportunity for Gimje farmers to share their top-quality rice. The fact that there were grasshoppers in the field proves that no pesticides were used, and Gimje's green farming practices were highlighted with the grasshopping catching event.
It's not easy to see grasshoppers usually. It's nice to see them here.
Last year, about 1.7 million people visited the festival, which contributed greatly in reviving the regional economy, and it saw over $81 million worth of economic impact. Despite the modest size of the Horizon Festival, it was able to attract a great number of tourists and amass considerable profit because planners focused on emphasizing the region's unique characteristics.
We first launched Horizon Festival in 1999 to support the farming area and alleviate the burden on farmers. This year's 16th festival had an immense impact. The festival has had economic effect of over $113 million. It has also brought economic help and encouragement to our farming community. I believe it will alleviate their spirits, especially since they face hardships due to the FTAs with other countries.
This location is especially significant. Gimje's greatest resource and Asia's largest irrigation facility. The site of Korea's first ever reservoir, 벽골제.
벽골제 is a reservoir built back in 330 AD. This is the Honan Plain where farming is done, and the water for farming was stored at this reservoir. This is Korea's only remaining reservoir embankment today.
Here at 벽골제, traditional performances were held hundreds of years ago, one of which is called 쌍용놀이, a harvest performance that reenacts the old legend of blue and white dragons fighting. Performances of 쌍용놀이 easily unifies visitors and local residents. A regional festival composed of symbols of Gimje, the horizon of the vast Gimje plain, and Gimje quality rice. It has not only boosted the regional economy, but it's also highly regarded as a major festival in promoting Korea's rice culture to the world. And already, there is a great anticipation on how it will win the hearts of visitors next year.
And a good Monday morning to you all as we kick things off with our final Incheon Asian Games coverage. Now on Sunday, the South Korean athletes and delegation held a separate disbanding ceremony marking the end of the Asian Games. Now led by the chief of delegation Park Soon-ho, 100 members of the athlete and delegation came together to celebrate their successful finish, with many of them thanking some of the volunteers who were with them during the 16 days of the competition. Now, Park added that they're all heroes and that they did their very best in making sure Korea finished second in the medal standings for the 5th straight time. Meanwhile, not much rest for some of these athletes as the annual National Sports Festival is set to kick off in Jeju starting on the 28th. And just like I mentioned, Korea was able to finish second to China for the 5th straight time in the medal count. So let's take a look at the final medal standing at the Incheon Asian Games. Now, of course, taking a look at the standings here, no surprise here with China as they finished first once again, this time with 151 gold medals. South Korea unable to achieve their goal of 90 or more gold medals, but they do finish with 79 gold, 71 silver, and 84 bronze medals for a total of 234 medals. Now, Japan, meanwhile, a distant third with 47, and Kazakhstan and Iran make the top 5. Now, meanwhile, Thailand just ahead of North Korea as North Korea finishes in the top 10 for the first time in 12 years as they finish with 11 gold medals, with India, Chinese Taipei, and Qatar making the top 10. Well, the 2014 Incheon Asian Games officially ended on Saturday with the closing ceremony, but it also meant that the Incheon Asiad MVP had to be chosen as well. And to no surprise, it was Japan's Kosuke Hagino. Now, the 20-year-old Japanese swimmer who dominated these swimming events by winning 4 gold medals, 1 silver, and 2 bronze was voted as the most valuable player at the 17th Asian Games. The award, which is given out by the Samsung Group, was voted on by 1,600 journalists. Meanwhile, some of the nominees also included South Korean fencer Nam Yeon-hee, South Korean judo athlete Kim Jae-bum, and North Korean weightlifter Kim Eun-guk. Well, it's been a while, but let's move on to other news in the other parts of the world, starting off in the LPGA, where South Korea's Lee Mi-rim came back to win the 2014 Rainwood LPGA Classic on Sunday. Now, after starting off the final round tied for third, the South Korean storms back with 5 birdies and a bogey, finished first with 15 under par overall to claim the title and her second LPGA title of her career. Meanwhile, Park In-bi, who hoped to finish with another title before her big wedding, finished tied for third at 12 under par overall. And now finishing things off in baseball and over to the majors where the 2014 MLB playoffs is currently taking place. And as for the LA Dodgers, who tied their best-of-5 series against the St. Louis Cardinals at 1 game apiece, will now rely on Jin to give them the series lead. The South Korean lefty, who's been sidelined with an inflammation on his left shoulder, will return to the mound in time for Game 3 of the NLDS on Monday. And that's good news for manager Don Mattingly, as Jin won his first ever playoff game against the St. Louis Cardinals last season when he threw 7 innings of shutout ball while giving up just 4 hits. Meanwhile, the 14-7 Jin is set to face off against the 14-10 John Lackey. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day and see you guys again for your sports needs.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I'm Simon O, and it's time for this week's Viral Feed. Now, a lot of cool stuff has been going on in and around Korea lately, but the stories we'll see today, I think, are pretty exciting. Now, let's get on to our first story. Viral Feed, if you've been watching in the past weeks and months, you may think super interesting, super fun, super impressive, but helpful. Until now, maybe not so much. Today, that's all going to change because we have a series of life hacks that are going to make your life not completely better, but a little bit easier. Let's have a look. We have a couple of tips for you today in this Share House series. Now, in Korea, we take our shoes off to head indoors, but still the floor can get messy. In fact, when I pick up hairs, I wonder, how does my wife even still have hair left? Anyhow, if that's a problem for you, no worries. Just stick a rubber band on your palm, rub your palm around the hairy area, and it picks up all the loose lint and hair. Interesting. Now here's another one. It's packing tips for you guys. If you're not a seasoned traveler, it can be rather difficult and stressful. But here's what you do. You simply layer your items and fold one item over the other. You see that? Flip, fold, and roll.
Interesting.
And the
What happens
volume
if I want
drops.
the one on the inside?
You unwrap
Everything?
Right.
You may as well, because it's a mess anyway, right? Now this one is most helpful, I think. If you've ever had trouble trying to untie a plastic bag, here's how you do it. You simply twist the end and push rather than pull the loose end, and it just pops right out. It's like magic.
That works wonders.
It works super, super well. In fact, actually, I saw this video while I was prepping for today's segment, and I tried it out at home with our disposable food waste in our kitchen, and it was tied up really tight, but I wanted to put some more scraps in it, so I twisted it up and I pushed the tip through, and it works.
Yeah, no matter how hard you tie a plastic bag, if you just go ahead and twist it and push it through, it works wonders.
Wow. Okay.
One of the few times in recent months that I've been truly able to impress my wife. Anyhow, moving on to our next story. I am a fan of food. You see how enthusiastic I am. And I'm also a fan of art, food and art. But here's the problem. If you go to a gallery and try to lick any of the exhibitions, you're not going to have a good time. Well, this changes all that because we have an artist who makes art that's not just good for the eye, but also for the stomach. Let's have a look. In one hand, our artist has a photo of the Beatles members on his smartphone, and in the other, a bottle of pancake batter. And instead of a canvas, this guy's work begins in the frying pan. Whoop, you see that?
So interesting.
Paul McCartney out of pancake batter. I couldn't believe my eyes. Let's keep it going. Which Beatle is it this time? You can't really tell. But again, after he griddles a little bit, flips it over, which Beatle is it going to be? It's Ringo!
Wow. That's art.
It is, isn't it? And it's just, I can't believe how amazing this is because the concept itself isn't that difficult. The areas that you want to be darker in color, you place first on the pan so they cook longer and they get darker in color. But still, just look how deft this guy is. There's no hesitation.
You have to have some massive talent there. I guess I'll have to start with a smiley face.
I mean, I don't know if I could even do that, but this guy definitely has talent. Look at this. Can you imagine waking up and having breakfast that's just the Beatles?
Looks like you? I don't know. It is freaky.
Actually, speaking of freaky, as I saw this video, I thought, I actually like my pancakes with berries in them. So what would it be like if you had like raspberries or blueberries instead of the eyes? And I pictured it in my mind. Sounds kind of creepy though.
Why don't you try that at
And
home
you
for your
start
wife?
eating the eyes.
That would be a little bit weird. Anyhow, seriously, there is art everywhere, and I think this is a fine demonstration of that. I was very, very impressed. All right, let's move on to our next story. It's a violin, but not like one you've ever seen before. Let's take a look. Now we see someone with deft, skilled fingers connecting strings to the body of a violin. So far, not that weird. We've all seen this before, right? But that's not what makes this unique. Look at the rest of the shot. The strings of the violin are actually made from some dude's hair. You see this? And it's still attached to his head. I couldn't believe this. So, it's a little bit creepy, but here's what the deal is here. This is actually part of an event promoting a street musicians day in Lithuania. And the whole idea of this little stunt or ad or whatever you want to call it, it's that no matter how old you are or what gender you are, no matter who you are, you can participate. That's the message they're trying to get across. And if you have a listen, it actually sounds pretty melodious. Organic is a good word. A little bit creepy, but again, a good word. I have a feeling that with some effort, this could actually turn into an instrument. Now, musically, does that make a whole lot of sense? Probably not, but I love looking at videos like this and saying, man, there are some very strange but also super creative people in the world.
It is a creative idea. I'm just wondering if it could actually outlast a whole performance.
Probably not. You want to try with my hair?
But if you think about it, it's done with hair anyway, right?
We're gonna have to grow it about 6 months more, though.
Right, we'll try it.
Or maybe something small like a ukulele. That wouldn't take as long. Alrighty, so this guy, it's a little bit strange, but I like to know that there are strange people in the world. It's always exciting for me. Alright, now starting last week for our new season here on Arirang, we've been taking a look at some of the better or more interesting Korean advertisements that have been getting buzz online. Inventive, creative ones that captured our imagination and our attention. Today we're going to have a look at a couple more, and I'm going to let you see if you can guess what the ads are for. Let's take a look at the first one. Now, of course, all guys want to have their ladies look up to them, see how suave they are, but if you park poorly, that suave guy is no longer so cool. He's just a little kid. What's going on here? I feel so bad. He's looking for his mommy. What happened? Guys, any guesses as to what this ad's for?
I'm clueless.
He's trying to look super, super cool as he parks his car, as we all try to do in one swift move. Any guesses?
Okay, Jinju wants to give it a go.
I know already.
Do you seriously?
Yeah.
It's some navigation,
No,
I'm guessing?
car insurance ad.
Yeah, that's
okay.
exactly right. If we have take a look at the rest of the ad, you'll find out exactly what it's for. Let's take a look at the rest. Accidents can sometimes turn even the manliest of men into helpless little kids, but there's hope for us in the form of trustworthy car insurance. So, you guys got that first one right. Congratulations. Let's move on to a second ad and see if you can guess what this one is. Now, as soon as one member of this couple asks for the car keys, the other is able to get it to them in almost magical fashion. Look at some of these tricks here.
Wow.
As far as I can figure out, there's no CGI involved. And did you see that? Amazing tricks with tennis balls, with golf balls. As we see on a basketball court with a tennis racket. I have no idea how they managed to get these tricks done right, but they captured them on video. One person getting the car keys to the other in what seems like magic. All right, so these tricks, of course, are super, super impressive, but can you guess what this is an ad for?
You know, I'm thinking it's the same ad for what we just saw. I mean, car insurance. Passing
Really?
the keys
Doesn't that seem
over.
a little bit too obvious? Do you really think I'd give you the same answer twice in a row?
I think so. I mean, because you're
knowing
tossing
you,
the car
yes.
keys and saying, you know what, I'm insured, I'm covered, go ahead, take my car.
I'm super embarrassed now because you're, again, completely right. I completely failed to fool you. Yeah, this is yet another ad for car insurance, and the idea that they had was, look how easily we can get keys from one to another. In that same way, we can magically get to you whenever you're in trouble. That
that's
was
the
the
concept.
idea. So, two car insurance ads, who knew they could be so much fun? I didn't manage to trick you guys this week, but I will be back next week with some more difficult questions. Anyhow, that's it for Viral Feed for this week. I'll be back next week with more. Ciao for now.
So today on hashtag Curious about Korea, I think we're going to be looking at Curious in Korea. We're going to be looking at hashtag couple culture, which has its own unique flavor here. You know, you see, especially in Jeju, newlyweds wearing the same T-shirt, same shorts, and same shoes.
Right. It's a sad thing if you're a single woman or a single lady.
If you're single at that time, we tend to make fun of them, right?
Right. Well, a young lady joins us this morning by the name of Angelina Foss from Sweden. Good morning.
Good morning.
Tell us about yourself first.
Well, yeah, my name is Angelina Foss. My parents are from Chile, but I was born and raised in Sweden. And I've been living in Korea for about 5 years now.
Okay. Well, how did you why are you curious about the couple culture in Korea?
Because it's so, in your face when you walk on the streets, and it's so different from Sweden. Like in Korea, couples wear, like you said, different kind of, same kind of clothes, and even they have special things for couples in cafes, special seats in stadiums and cinemas. So.
Yeah.
And we even have stores just selling couple items.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So it starts with the couple ring and this and that. I'm sorry, can I ask you if you are involved in a relationship or if you have someone that you share
single.
this with? Okay. Single and happy, huh?
Yeah, solo. I was just telling them before that my morning alarm is a Dynamic Duo's song, Solo.
Solo.
Yeah.
And that's how Koreans refer to singles out there.
Exactly,
if you're single,
solo.
they say, I'm solo, right?
Part of the solo army.
Kind of like Han Solo.
Yeah, exactly, Han Solo.
All right. Well, so you went out to check out this couple culture.
Yes.
So let's take a look at your adventure.
Yes.
All right.
Right away, the first thing I noticed about the couples in Korea is the couple look. In Sweden, there's no such thing. So when I first saw that in Korea, I thought people were just wearing school or team uniforms. Even if you love each other so much, I don't understand why you have to dress exactly the same. It's a foreign concept for me. So in order to learn more, I decided to visit a location in Korea that is very popular for couples to visit, Sonil Park in Seoul. So many pretty couples here today, but I really want to find a couple that are dressed almost the same. That's the couple. Let's go and talk to them. You can tell right away that these two are a couple. Excuse me? Oh, hi. Their jacket, their shoes, their bracelets are exactly the same.
Oh my god, that's so cute. It's Mimi kissing Mickey.
Maybe it's their first relationship.
Minnie and Mickey Mouse.
아이템 맞추는 거 좋아해서 먼저 제안하면은 남자친구도 따라주니까
남자가 져줘요. 남자가.
She's the one that decides?
Yes.
저희가 이거 1주년부터 시기 같이 맞췄고요. 함께 시간을 함께 하자는 의미로 시기 같이 맞췄습니다.
For example, in Sweden, we only celebrate 1 year anniversary. What days do you celebrate?
저희는 100일, 200일, 300일 이렇게 100일 단위로도 챙기고요. 또 1주년을 이렇게 챙기고 있어요.
This couple had on the couple look. Plus, they even had the couple rings. Matching rings.
일단 딱 봐도 저희가 친근해 보이고 그리고 이제 남들한테 우리가 커플이다라는 거를 자랑할 수 있으니까.
A very cute couple, but I wonder how long they've been together.
4년 반 정도 됐고 한 1762일.
How do you know 1,762 days?
이렇게 커플 어플리케이션이 있거든요.
기능이 있어요. There are many smartphone applications made just for couples. These apps help couples to keep track on anniversary dates, photo sharing, couple chatting, and much more. Very important.
That usually ends once you get married.
I'm
right?
very
You
bad
start-
with
you stop
dates and
keeping
keeping track on days, so this is a very good way of not being the bad person in a relationship. Another very interesting trait about Korea's couple culture I noticed, there are so many dates that you have to remember to celebrate together. You know, there is Valentine's Day, of course. Then 1 month later, March 14th, is White Day, when the guy buys chocolate for girls. There are so many celebrations for couples throughout the year, but only one for singles. April 14th, Black Day, when people who are single eat jjajangmyeon. So besides April, Every 14th of the month, there's something for couples. There's a reason that so much marketing is targeted toward couples. So many couples. Couples love to celebrate anniversaries in Korea. And when the big one-year anniversary comes up, it seems customary to get matching rings. At this place, you can make matching couple rings. But you know, in Sweden, the only time you get matching ring is on your wedding day.
We are making rings to celebrate our one-year anniversary.
You wear this ring on your finger the closest to your heart, and even when you're apart, you feel like you're together. There's no other ring like it in the world.
We wear the rings separately, but together they make a heart.
In Korea, couples wear the same rings as a symbol of their love for each other.
It's like a wedding ring, a pre-wedding ring.
Yeah.
52일 됐어요. 너무 좋아해서 일찍 맞추고 싶었어요.
Why do you celebrate so much?
서로 이렇게 챙겨주다 보면은 좋아하는 마음을 잘 느낄 수 있는 것 같아요.
Couples everywhere.
사귄 지 1년 되는 날 기념해서 반지를 만들러 왔고.
Sharing and matching different items with each other and celebrating every anniversary is a way for couples to make promises to each other. And of course, there are many marketers who take advantage of things like this. Or maybe it's the other way around. Special couple events heighten the effect.
You can try making rings for just 100,000 won per couple, and we get about 15-20 couples coming in per day.
Here's an example of couples marketing, a date to a couples event at a spa.
Wow, this place looks so cozy.
More than a decade ago, these spas were reserved for women, but they haven't been for some time now. They have special couple rooms at this place. Even when it comes to health, couples get to unwind and relax together in these rooms made just for couples. And some of them even allow couples to try different techniques on each other. The couple spa package here includes foot massage that each person does for the other. Throughout this type of touch, couples are supposed to grow more intimate and feel closer to another.
Foot massage together.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You're so red.
같이 색다른 경험을 할 수 있는 것 같아서 좋은 것 같아요. 남자친구랑 꼭 한번 해보세요.
So in the future, my future boyfriend and I will come here and we will do mask and I will make him do foot massage. Watch out. Today we met many different couples and about the various aspects of Korea's couple culture. In my eyes, the couple's culture is quite passionate and very romantic. I can't wait to find my other half so I can share some of these customs with him.
Sounds like a warning to me.
Yeah, watch out.
It really sounds like, you know, your future boyfriend is going to have a lot on his plate. You know, many of the guys out there, they end up not being able to spend money on their friends because they spent all of it on their girlfriends because of all these couple care packages.
He's
right?
complaining now.
Yeah. No, all my chances are gone now.
I actually have a few more things to say. I mean, there are many anniversaries. In Korea, we also celebrate the 100-day, 200-day, 300-day, 400-day, including the 1 year, the 2 year, the 3 year, the 4 year,
He's complaining. I think
birthdays, this
women
day, Rose
like it
Day,
that way.
Black Day, this and that. Empty wallets is what it
Is it
is.
stressful?
I haven't gotten
He's
anything
kind of
else.
stressed out, I think.
But this is why the app exists. For you to not be stressed. You know, you keep track. There's an alarm. Today's the 100-day, you know. Better keep track on that. This is something that you don't do in Sweden.
Right. Apparently, there's this app available in 13 different languages.
13
it
languages.
Already has 8 million users.
Wow.
I'm going to have to download that right now.
Download that application. That's going to save you a lot of time and energy, right?
And you brought out some of the couple items, and I can
Tell us
see
about
that.
some of these.
Well, these are things that I thought were the most funny. There are like lamps and there's the mug and of course the for the phones to show to everyone, I'm in a relationship. Here's a picture.
Yeah,
and my
this
boyfriend
is-
looks like this. A special license.
This is a couple license here.
An ID card that you're officially in a
for-
relationship.
For privacy sake. I don't know who these people are. So
Yeah,
I mean,
they're-
look at it. Wow. It's like,
Kind of scary.
look at that. So it tells you. So it tells you exactly when you started dating, I guess. So July something, right? And then basically.
I think we can show the faces.
These are
Yeah,
examples.
right. There you go.
They're not real couples.
Oh, they're not real. Okay. Then.
Samples.
Maybe we can make a couple registration card for the three of us. It'll be a threesome.
That's not a couple.
Korea Today threesome.
Odd. But,
Why not? Right? Interesting. But I don't want to be a party pooper, but what if you break up?
I know. Yeah, what do you do with the...
you throw it all away.
And go back to
Because
solo.
if the next boyfriend or girlfriend that you meet happens on seeing that,
Yeah, that would
then he'll be
be
very disappointed, or she'll be
yeah,
very disappointed.
devastating.
Right? So you gotta throw it away. All that money. So mouse pads. I mean,
Yeah,
we just have all
right.
kinds of
There's
different
a lot
stuff.
for couples in
Tumblers.
Korea.
But here in Sweden, there's only the wedding anniversary that
Yeah.
couples celebrate together. If you end up in a relationship, would you like to celebrate all these anniversaries?
Yeah,
or
it's a
just-
challenge. I want to try that. Every 14th, today is an important day. Yeah, I would actually like to try it.
I think it's a good way to express your feelings for one another now and then, maybe too often.
Yeah. Well, there is a little bit of criticism, though, that some of these might be a marketing ploy, and some people are saying that it does also help the economy and domestic consumption as well.
Do you see how the singles are for this idea and the married
Well, I've
people
been there
are
and done it. I'm still doing it, so it's...
Of course, it's part of like a marketing plot, but companies don't force people to do it. People have their own choice. So
No, yeah, they say you have a choice, but then when you have a girlfriend or a wife or a husband or a boyfriend...
All right, stop complaining. Yeah. All right, thank you, Angelina,
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thank
Thanks
you.
So much.
I'm really not a party pooper. I'm really
You
for
are
this
a party
idea. No,
pooper.
I'm really 100% for this idea.
This is where we say goodbye on this Monday edition of Korea Today.
All right,
Thank you for watching.
Thank you, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning.
Have a great day.